So, if any of you haven't really been watching our channel recently due to the lack of uploads in like the past 3 months, you won't know that yesterday I made a video where I revisited the Wii U and I brought up why it was a good product. And I thought, what's another good product from Nintendo? This. The Nintendo 3DS. A console that has only just started annoying me because of where the headphone jack is. Why, Nintendo? So if you didn't know, the 3DS is one of Nintendo's newest handhelds, being the final handheld that came before the Switch, the Nintendo Switch. So, the weird thing about it is, Nintendo weirdly made like 7 million different versions of the 3DS. There was the classic Nintendo 3DS, then there was the 3DS XL, 2DS, which looked like a doorstop. People hate it, although it's a cheap alternative to the 3DS. Then there is also the new Nintendo 3DS, which was the beginning of the weirdest names for the 3DS family. New Nintendo 3DS XL, and then new Nintendo 2DS XL. There wasn't a 2DS XL before, and now you're saying it's the new version of the Nintendo 2DS XL, but there never was a Nintendo 2DS XL. There was a Nintendo 2DS, and that was the only 2DS before that. Now, what I'm thinking for the 3DS, I think the reason it was discontinued, I think it was last year, if not the year before, 2019, 2020. I think the reason they discontinued it was because they were coming up with a new version of the 3DS or DS family. The 4DS. Now, I don't know what 4D is. Basically 3D just with a 4 is 4-dimensional instead of 3-dimensional. I am really confused. But there has been a lot of theories for Nintendo 4DS. Take the gamer for example. He thought when the Switch Mini came out, Switch Lite now, he thought when it came to the Switch Mini it would be like a 4DS. Now, when I heard that struck me. I mean, I know it was made in 2017, but that thought has stuck with me for the past 2 years since I first watched it. And when the Switch Lite came out, and I was like, that's a good thought. Because Nintendo doesn't really announce when they're doing something new until right before it comes out. Take the Switch, for example. The Switch came out, although everyone knew about it. However, a month before it came out, the Nintendo 2DS XL was released, announced. And it came just before the Switch. I can imagine that it didn't sell very well, at least in Britain, because it came out 28th of August, I think, or July for the 2DS XL in Scotland and the UK, but the Switch came out in that October, so that must have had a massive impact on its sales. However, in America, I think, and maybe Japan, the Switch came out before the 2DS XL. I hope I'm correct. If I'm not, you can dislike this video. Okay, please don't. Also, if you're not subscribed, subscribe right now or I will steal every cookie you have in your house. But back to the 3DS. If you didn't know what the 3DS was, it was it was the younger generation of the DS, just had a 3D slider on the side of the screen, so you could make it look 3D without the need of 3D glasses. So it was the younger generation of the DS, which is the highest selling handheld console ever, and the second highest selling gaming system ever, just being beaten by the PS2 by 3 million units. Sounds like a lot, but it really isn't when it comes to gaming. 3 million units. If you've got a console that sells 3 million units, that's a major flop. If it sells 10 million units, that's even a flop. But the 3DS and DS, I know that it was cool that it had 2 screens and all, but that wasn't new. The folding stuff and the 2 screens wasn't new. My first example is the Game Boy Advance SP released in 2003. It was the first memorable handheld from Nintendo that had the folding mechanism, but that wasn't even the first handheld from Nintendo like that. The first ever dual screen and folding mechanism that brought around the DS thing was the Donkey Kong Game & Watch, which had 2 screens. Now, this was also like the same size as the 3DS, just it didn't have a rechargeable battery. Because the Game Boy Advance SP was the first ever Nintendo handheld to have a rechargeable battery. But we won't talk about that until I release a special Game Boy Advance video. Well, if I ever do, I might just stick to before I was born or after. So, the whole folding dual screen wasn't new for the DS and 3DS. What was new on the 3DS was the 3D. Because it was 3D. So, like, if you put on the slider, you can see 3D. And this was insane, because you didn't need 3D glasses. I mean, like, it's a massive step forward from the Virtual Boy. If you get me talking about the Virtual Boy in the comments. Okay, boy. Okay, I'm kidding. Well, another thing that was new with the DS and 3DS was it came with a free stylus for it. And the bottom screen was actually touch screen. So that was really new. So having a handheld with a touch screen at the time was new. And it was competing against the PSP, and I'm not sure if it did have touchscreen or not, but it definitely didn't require a stylus touchscreen. The stylus touchscreen on the DS, though, because it was such a small screen, it would be hard to use your finger. So the fact that they added a stylus is really impressive. And the DS and DS Lite are backwards compatible with the Game Boy Advance. If that's not cool, I want you to tell me what is. And also, another thing that was added with the 3DS was also backwards compatibility with DS games. So, wait, if the 3DS could play DS games, would there be a special way to play Game Boy? Wait, nah. Sorry guys, I'm talking nonsense. I thought that you'd be able to play Game Boy Advance games on your 3DS because you could play it on the DS, and I thought they were put in the same card slot, but then I realized that Game Boy Advance cartridges were massive compared to DS cartridges. So there must have been a special cartridge slot for the Game Boy Advance games. I mean, like, yeesh. Imagine being able to play Super Mario 64 DS and Super Mario World and Mario Kart Super Circuit and Nintendogs all on one system. That sounds cool. Nintendo, if you make a new version of the 3DS, please make it backwards compatible with all different types of DS. That includes 3DS too, please. 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 Okay, I'm going crazy. But that would be insane if they actually watched this video and did. Now, I rated the Wii U 8 out of 10 at the end of the last video. I'm gonna rate every type of DS, which is DS, 3DS, 2DS. Let's start with the regular DS. Processing power wise, it wasn't really that cool, cause like, you could still see all the pixels. However, it was still a really good handheld. And it's the best selling handheld of all time. Well, our time at least, 2021, it's still the best. So after 15 years, well, 17 now, it's still the best selling handheld console. So I've got to rank that 9 out of 10, at least 9 out of 10, if not 10. I think maybe 9. And the 3DS, it was a lot better, because like you could play games in 3D, and the games were actually pretty cheap compared to the Wii U games. If you tried to get Splatoon on the Wii U, it costs like 60, 70, sometimes even 80 quid. 80! Games, also the the Zelda games cost like 30 or 40 pounds. However, on the 3DS, the games tend to cost up to 20. 20 at maximum. On the Wii U, it's 30 at minimum. So, if you want to play games like on the Wii U, on the go, 3DS, I'm gonna give 10 out of 10. 2DS didn't have a good reason to exist, although if we think of the new Nintendo 2DS XL, it was the best processing wise and definitely the coolest model. Also, everyone, I know that Scott the Wars is gonna hate me for saying this, because he hates it whenever people saying this. The top screen looks like iPhone 8. So Scott the Wars, if you're watching this, sucks to be you. So I'd give the 2DS maybe 7 to 9, I'd say. So they're pretty good systems. So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, or I will steal every cookie and biscuit, and I will also, don't think that's all I'll steal all the cake in your house. Like and subscribe for more. Bye bye.